Hello and welcome back to the Tales of TIC Podcast. Today I am joined by Shahram Maralani.
Hello, hi, good day.
Hi. Just to give it a quick intro, Shahram has spent a number of years working in the digital industry as well as the TIC industry. So he held multiple leadership positions with DNV, including a global director of technical and quality. Since then, he's joined NEMKO back in 2022 as an executive leader. He now holds an SVP and Chief Technical Officer title and has recently launched NEMKO Digital. So yeah, welcome and thank you for coming on the podcast, Sharon.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries at all. So just to kick things off then, would it be possible if you could provide us with a quick overview of your career and how you got started in your field?
Yeah, sure. Before joining the TIC industry, I have experienced a couple of industries, most of all in the automotive sector. I was working primarily in a test part of an automotive industry, and there I was designing and working on the test procedures for in the automotive sector for parts and components. The company was involved in its own process to get quality management system in place and get certified back then towards ISO 9001. And I got involved a little bit into that project, and that was maybe the trigger for me to get to know the TIC industry as a customer. And then I moved to another company within automotive industry as a quality manager, responsible for quality assurance and quality control, and also strategic planning, which I believe was really the moment that shaped my career. This is like 25 years ago, but I think that company got certified according to ISO TS in the automotive sector. And I experienced really managing the relation with the certification body. And it was 2003 where I stepped basically over to the other side of the table, and I joined DMV operation, where I worked for around 20 years, a bit less than 20 years, in various roles, managing sales, managing the whole unit, managing a couple of regions in Europe and also in Middle East, as well as technical director role in couple of occasions. If you look, it has been like equally distributed between a technical director role or a business responsibility, either as a regional manager, a country manager, or a sales role. That gave me quite a good opportunity in order to learn about both sides of the business, being sitting in front of the customer or being on the support function primarily. And that was till August 22, where I joined NEMKO as group CTO, and I took care of the digitalization effort in the company. Till a few days ago, where I took a new responsibility as CTO, keeping that role, but also having the technical side of the global operation into my new function. In addition, we have worked in our strategy also on the services related to governance and compliance in digital technologies. For NEMKO, that is because of work that we do with, for example, IoT devices or cybersecurity is nothing new. But with the level of attention to the regulation and standards on artificial intelligence, that's really a need in the market that we are trying to answer to. And we have established NEMKO Digital, where I'm heading also that operation. Then at this moment, I have a dual role in organization as SVP Group CTO and also heading NEMKO Digital.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you. That's a really interesting transition through your career, obviously coming from outside the industry and then transitioning your way in. So from the experience you've learned then, I guess, what do you believe are the key qualities or skills that make a successful sales leader in this particular industry?
Yeah, sure. I believe if you look at both the hard and soft skills needed for various roles in sales, of course, everybody knows about them, right? What I believe, but on top of all that is quite important, is deep knowledge and understanding of what you provide as an organization, and at the same time also a good knowledge about your customers and what is their motivation for choosing the products or services that you are offering. And I think between good and great salespeople, to me, that's one of the key differentiators where you kind of almost start to love what you are providing to your customers, and you also really love your customers, so that you are after solving either a pain point and answering to a pain point, or giving them some gain. And of course all the other soft and hard skills follows that, being for example focused on the customer and their needs, having a balanced approach towards what are the rules of operation in the domain that you are operating. And us coming from tech industry, of course we are all about rules, right? And but at the same time to be able to balance that so that the customer is getting what they are really in need of, I think those are important elements. One maybe last point I can mention is that in our industry, because of the whole framework coming from the rules and regulations, coming from accreditation and other frame conditions, there might be a perception of a lot of rigidity, and that is nothing wrong about it. I mean, there are a lot of sectors. I mean, in the aviation is not any different, right? Aviation cannot operate like ground transportation because of the level of the risks are there. Some of the sectors are like that, but again, you even in aviation you have companies, even in passenger, let's say, part of that, you have companies that you like better than the others. They are maybe both at the same level of safety and integrity, but there are certain companies are more customer focused than the other one. And I think this is something that the sales leaders need to consider and work with the rest of the organization to be able to serve their customers in the best way possible.
How do you define operational excellence within your organization?
I think it is quite an important topic in our sector primarily. I mean, many sectors, including also the TIC sector, because most of what we do is help organizations in with our assessments and audits and other type of services with the same subject. And a bit taking our own medicine, that's how we look at it. And our industry deals with a lot of information from the whole process. And I believe quality of those information and having the right processes and systems in order to be able to maintain and manage those information is an important element actually. I believe many of the companies in our sectors have been over the last couple of decades working heavily on this, with implementing maybe more modern infrastructure and IT systems, with streamlining the processes, with looking into how do they organize themselves also. And I think that for us also has been a journey. I think with NEMKO, of course, I'm only 2.5 years there, but the company has started digitalization a couple of decades ago, in the sense that we talk about it today, and we are on quite a modern infrastructure. The remaining becomes to basically continuously look for opportunities for improvement, to improve the response time to customers, to be able to provide them with the necessary information without basically proactively, I would say. That is, I think, the way that we look at it, and continuously identifying the bottlenecks and trying to find ways either through process change or implementing the right solutions to improve that. And of course, on the core of what we deliver, the subject matter being safety, quality, or any other domain that VTIC players work in, then continual improvement is part of our own process, because just like our customers, we also implement management systems according to, for example, 17 series of ISO or other frameworks. And we also are into that process. We get our own internal and external audits. I mean, people in our industry know about this, of course, but that's also how we take care of, for example, the processes, the competence of people, continuous development of their skills and competence, and as well as finding issues and addressing those with the right corrective and preventive actions.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Then just moving on to the next question. And I've always found NEMKO a really exciting business, obviously traditionally based out of Scandinavia and now sort of prevalent across the globe. If you could give maybe the viewers just some deep background into NEMKO as a business and how it's evolved and kind of where it's going.
Yeah, sure. NEMKO started a bit more than 90 years ago as an office in the Norwegian government to take care of electrical safety in Norway. And that story is similar with also some other players in the TIC industry from other countries. And this has been growing into the responsibility with various electric and electronic kind of devices, safety in the country, up until late 80s, early 90s, when the harmonization of standards across Europe has happened. And many of the competitors from that region, or you would say the government offices that were responsible in other countries, they have become part of larger maybe companies, or they stopped operation because with that harmonization in-country requirements were maybe not as before or not in place. But back then, the people who were managing NEMKO's operation, they came with a different vision to internationalize this operation and do not basically stop it or make it part of a bigger organization. And they started to go global. Then they went to Asia and to States and started to serve the customers there. And the company since then has been a foundation, and we are owned by a foundation which was established back then. And till date, that setup exists. Today we are in the TIC industry. You know, the numbers are high, right? Because they work in multiple sectors and industries. Sometimes you have players with tens of thousands of employees, but we are primarily focused on the electronics value chain. We are a niche player there. But we have grown to have quite, I would say, an impressive customer base with any kind of international brand that you may know or may not know, from electronics, including IT, audiovisual, medical, automotive, and other sectors. We have customers, and they are spread across the globe. And to serve them, we have grown to become around more than 850 people. Working out of 15 countries, and we are serving customers across the globe with their market access needs in more than 150 countries that they are selling their products into. That's a little bit the history, and the company is growing, I would say, even faster lately compared to the last, I would say, 85 years, maybe before that, because last 4 years we have increased our size by more than 100%. I mean, the company around 4.5 years ago was less than half the size it has today. And
Wow.
yeah, that has been quite a nice period for me also to join the company. I mean, you know, when the
Yeah.
growth is here, everything is in a different kind of gear and momentum, right? It is really great times to experience this success of the company.
Oh, fantastic. So moving on quite nicely then, with that growth that obviously NEMKO's seen and the growth that they will be looking for in the future, how does your role contribute to the overall success of the business and the eventual growth?
Yeah, I think my colleagues, before I was even part of the company, they had a vision to start to digitalize our processes further. I mean, the company, as I mentioned before, started digitalization a couple of decades ago, and they started to modernize the internal, for example, production system, the finance system that we have, and we have been into a journey a couple of times, even replacing the systems like any other company may do. And on the customer facing side, they had a vision to bring value also towards our customers. And that was defined in a digital roadmap that quite a number of my colleagues were involved, and one of our senior leaders has been driving it up until the moment that I joined. And since then, I have been working in the company to realize that. And over the last 2.5 years, I have been working to establish the infrastructure needed to come with an automated way of managing the digital relations with the customers. And as you know, coming from tech industry, you are not one of those typical industries that you can go to the major tech companies and then they have off-the-shelf solution. You need always to customize any kind of solution you get from the known names in order to fit to your processes. And that work has been done in the organization over the last few years. And what we are now have been busy is in order to make it accessible to the customers and help them with the information that they can visualize and interact with us to streamline the process and collaboration with our customers. But that was what I started with in August 22. But a few months after, we were at the point that the company needed to write, like every few years, you have a new business strategy. We needed to write our strategy for the 4 or 5 years in front of us. And I took also the responsibility of that. Then I've been basically leading a project to design the strategy of the company for the years 24 to 27. And that was another contribution I had to basically shaping a little bit the near future of the company, if you like. And one of the side products of that strategy project was also the discussion around the governance and the digital side, because if you basically summarize what we do in 90 years of history, we are helping the companies with the trust in their physical products, right? That is more than maybe 90% of the business that we are having. But on the, let's say, the digital side, we see the need in the market. I mean, nothing that we are discovering. We wanted to answer to that need. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. And we have established NEMKO Digital, primarily starting with helping the companies with their needs in the governance, risk, and compliance of artificial intelligence. And that's kind of maybe a second or third hat I have in the organization.
Fantastic. And just wanted to touch on to the next question. Obviously, the TIC industry is quite unique as an industry. It's very reactive, depending on what's going on in the globe and kind of what's going on with certain industries. So from your experience and the niche that you're involved in, what would you say is some of the biggest challenges for businesses in the TIC industry right now?
That is quite an important strategy question for our sector, because with over the years, over the last 20 plus years that I have been in the TIC sector, what I believe has happened is that this sector has become more competitive. There are more and more players in various parts of this sector who are serving different type of industries, as well as different size and segment of the customer base. And it is then really important that the companies are looking into the ways to optimize their operation. Then in reality, from that side, what has been happening, and it has been becoming a challenge, and that's not new. I think that's over the last decade or more, that is already a challenge, is to keep healthy and especially financially healthy operations for companies while still able to invest in competence and invest in the infrastructure needed to serve their customers. And that's why you see some of the players may not continue independently, and they become part of larger players. So maybe a consequence of this situation, of course, is the consolidation that you see ongoing. And that's not only in TIC sector, but it is also visible in the TIC sector. Then those who are not able to grow and keep their profitability level, they get perhaps into those kind of decisions. And maybe those are the right decisions in those moments. I think another challenge is that rightly, in most cases quite rightly, the requirements on the competence of people has become much more stringent from accreditation bodies and also other stakeholders. And I believe also with the change in the generation that is now active and should be trained and get into this industry, we also see that maybe as a limiting factor, because maybe 20, 30 years ago, it has been quite nice and even looks like a fantastic job to become an assessor in this industry. Today, I'm not quite sure with all the more modern industries like the tech sector or maybe the digital side, even things like marketing and communication, for example, because that was completely renovated with not only internet, but also the latest wave with social media and so on.
Hmm.
It sometimes, to me, it looks like for the younger generation, our type of industries are less cool than before, right? And I think that's also a challenge for our industry to attract really the right
Yeah.
talents, because not that we are working in this sector, but really the world cannot function with without this sector. If you do
Yeah.
not have the safety of the equipment, infrastructure, processes, quality of what we are using, and as you know, this sector serves almost any sector of the society, and
Hmm.
you need really here smart and maybe high quality and high integrity people to be able to keep the society's expectations towards the industry and towards the public processes in shape. And I believe these are perhaps a couple of the challenges that I can mention.
Yeah, no, thank you for your insights there. Just going on to a couple more, well, I guess more personal questions then to finish off. How would you define success, both in your personal life and professional life? And how has this evolved or changed over your career?
I think you personally and professionally you go through a journey, right? And then you could be maybe, I don't know what's the right word. Maybe lucky is not really. I don't believe necessarily in luck, but I think if some of us are more lucky, if I use that word, and then they see more positive developments in their personal or professional or both
Yeah.
side of their lives, and some of us are not maybe so lucky, or they face more challenges that are quite difficult maybe to address, and they may not experience that. And I think success to me, the way I define it now with this experience and at this age, is looking back and seeing that with in those moments that you had a choice between taking one or among one or more decisions, one of them, uh, maybe you decided something that when you look back you think, yeah, that was the right move. I think the
Yeah.
way I define it now, it is, I do not believe in maybe success as something that can be defined at this moment, because it depends on where am I in a year time, right? Both personally and privately.
Mhm.
Before, maybe I didn't think like this. I thought maybe that's like more a feeling, that do I feel successful or not. But in reality, the success can only be defined when you look back a year or 5 or 10 or 20. And to me personally, I think I have been among the lucky ones. I think being in my career and also private life, experiencing more positive moves than the negative ones. And I think if
Mhm.
specifically on the career side, maybe ended up in the right companies, maybe got
Yeah.
into knowing the right people, and maybe I had managers and leaders that who believed in me and then helped me to grow, because that's also an important one. Like, you can have all the skills on earth, but if you are not really acting at the level that you can and you are capable of contributing to the organization, then you may not feel that happy or satisfied after a while, right? And I think, yeah, to summarize, I believe the combination of the network, people, and how you really create value for yourself and those people, and end of the day for the organization and customers, and looking back and seeing how much did you progress from what you have been. Those are to me kind of explanations of success.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think typically it's that kind of combination of hard work, determination, and surrounding yourselves around, well, interesting and progressive people, and that will lead to opportunities, I guess. No, yes, thank you for sharing your thoughts there. And then, yeah, finally, just to go back, if you could go the whole way back to when you were 21, what would be some advice you would give to yourself? Maybe some warnings as well you would give to yourself.
Um, I think this is a question that I have come across also before when watching maybe other people who have been asked similar questions, and that because of that, it is something that I have been thinking about this before. Um, I believe if I were with my current understanding of the world and the knowledge that I have at the age of 2021, I think I would have maybe advised myself or decided to have a wider, maybe, understanding of the world and
Hmm.
not necessarily spend all my efforts into being educated in one single domain. I believe our world has maybe less people with good understanding of economy, for example,
Hmm.
maybe less understanding of business. I think what we are teaching as business in business schools and also in other places, they are great. I mean, nothing wrong about it, but they are
Yeah.
not producing what a successful entrepreneur or a business leader
Yeah.
is, right? And
Hmm.
many of us come from various backgrounds. I came, like many others in the tech industry, from engineering background. Some others come from finance background, and so on.
Yeah.
But I think our education system to train people ready to take maybe higher levels of responsibility needs to be a much more multidiscipline uh, than
Yeah.
uh, than just being educated for 4, 6, or 10 years in a particular subject matter, right? And I think if I had that knowledge myself at that age, I would have perhaps done a different type of thing. Some people go and do dual degrees and so on. If it is really
Yeah.
different, two different degrees, maybe that is a way. Well, I think practical experience in some other domains, such as, like, economy, comes to my mind as one of them. Finance, I think deep understanding of finance is also another one. I believe some of the more senior managers in any industry, they get less successful than their peers because partially of not being deep in understanding finance. Um,
Yeah. I think, yeah, just from my personal situation, thinking back to education that I had in the UK, I think, yeah, we never really got taught a deep level of finance or even leadership skills. Of, I mean, obviously, you can go into to roles that you've had where you're managing large amounts of people across multiple countries, and yeah, maybe things like that would be useful to be taught from a younger age. It's been a pleasure having you on today, then, Sharon. Thank you very much for taking the time. Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate, Joe. Thank you for the opportunity, and success.